Week 16 in the NFL kicks off in the Music City with the Titans hosting the 49ers in a matchup with playoff implications on both sides. After starting the season 3-5, the 49ers postseason chances looked pretty bleak, but after going 5-1 in their past 6, they currently occupy the 6th seed in the NFC and are playing their best football at just the right time.
We found a better way of not turning it over. We found a better way of running the ball, and I think we'll continue to get better on D.
The Titans, on the other hand, come into this one reeling a bit, having lost 3 of their past 4, the latest of which blowing a double-digit lead against the Steelers, while turning the ball over 4 times. And although they have swept the Colts thus far, they've seen their divisional lead in the AFC South shrink to just 1 game.
We have to hold the ball in much more regard. Obviously you can't do that and think you're going to win.
Will the Titans turn it around at home with the potential return of King Henry looming before the playoffs? Or can the 49ers keep their winning ways going in Nashville? Week 16 is about to get underway.
All right, so here's what it looks like your coming NFL games. You see that 49ers-Titans clash in Tennessee. San Francisco, the road favorite there. The Browns dealing with COVID issues team-wide. They're at the Packers. That's your early kickoff on Saturday. Green Bay better than a touchdown favorite there. And the Colts off the win over the Pats at the Cardinals following Arizona's loss to the Lions. That's your night game on Saturday night. All right, make it 5 out of 6 days for the NFL with Week 15 finally in the books. Let's bring in 2/3 of the Pick Six podcast as Ryan Wilson is kick Will Brinson to the curb, and we have John Breech in his place today. Happy holidays to you both. Gentlemen, the 49ers come in having won 5 of 6. They are currently the 6th seed in the NFC. Ryan, start with you. What's your read on San Francisco's contender status in the NFC?
Happy holidays, Jim, and dare I say, this is the handsomest 2/3 part of the podcast, so no disrespect to Will Brinson, but that's just the truth. Merry Christmas, John. I'll hear from you in a second. So what does this mean for San Francisco? We heard Amanda talk about it in the intro. They were 3-5 at one point in Week 9. They had their bye week early. There were a ton of questions, mostly coming from me, at least on the Pick Six podcast, about what is Kyle Shanahan doing, because this thing doesn't seem to be working. Mostly the personnel decisions. We know they traded up to get Trey Lance, used a ton of draft capital, and now they have been absolutely red hot. 5-1 over the last 6 games. Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL since Week 8, completing 69% of his passes, 107.4 passer rating, 12 touchdown passes over that span. He's been electric to the point that Trey Lance doesn't even see the field, and nor does he need to. Deebo Samuel has picked it up as a running back as well as a wide receiver. That's how invaluable he's been. The defense is playing well, and I think you have to be extremely optimistic if you're a 49ers fan, because Kyle Shanahan, turns out, does know what he's doing, and perhaps more importantly, Jimmy G has been balling out in an offense where he's been up and down historically in San Francisco, but he's playing extremely well right now, playing with a ton of confidence, not looking over his shoulder because of Trey Lance, and the success shows itself week in and week out on the field.
And you know your team is playing well when you can just grab one of your wide receivers and say, hey, you're going to be a part-time running back right now for the rest of the season. And then that guy sets the NFL record for most rushing touchdowns by a receiver. That's what the 49ers are doing. Kyle Shanahan has gotten creative. We've seen what he's done with Deebo Samuel, who now has 7 rushing touchdowns on the season, which is tied with the NFL record. And it feels like that's what's been the difference during this 6-week span where they've won 5 of their past 6 games. It is like Kyle Shanahan was sitting in his basement at home and stumbled upon his playbook from 2019 and said, oh, we went to the Super Bowl in 2019. Why don't I use this again? And what did they do in 2019? They just ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball some more. And then if they needed a passing play, they had Jimmy Garoppolo there, and no one was ever expecting it because everyone was expecting them to run the ball. And that is what they've done over the past 6 weeks. In this 5 out of 6 game span, they're averaging 145 yards per game on the ground. And that takes a lot of pressure off Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, Jimmy's slightly above a game manager, but he's not just going to win you games. If the 49ers don't have a run game, the 49ers are probably going to lose. But Shanahan's gotten so creative with the way the rushing attack works. That's made life easier for Jimmy Garoppolo, and he has come up big at certain times. We saw him lead that game-winning drive against the Bengals a couple weeks ago. So this is a 49ers team that looks a lot like the 49ers team from 2019. And as we said, that is a team that ended the season in the Super Bowl. So, yes, I definitely feel like this is one of the top contenders in the NFC.
All right, on the other side of the field, the Titans have lost 3 of 4. They pretty much gave that game away in Pittsburgh on Sunday. This on the heels of a 6-game winning streak. You get the sense they're really starting to feel the loss of Derrick Henry. John, what's the ceiling for this Titans team as it's currently made up?
As it's currently made up, the ceiling is the floor. I mean, I'm not sure how far they can get. I don't see them getting out of the wild card round. They're going to be lucky to win a division without Derrick Henry. This team is just falling apart. They've gotten progressively worse every week on offense since Derrick Henry has been out. If they're going to win games without Henry, their defense has to play perfectly. And even when they play perfectly, like they did on Sunday against the Steelers, they still might lose because the offense is turning the ball over 4 times. And it was just an inexplicable loss that your defense could play so well and you could lose. The two of the wins they got without Derrick Henry against the Rams and the Saints, it was because their defense played so well. But then other games, their offense comes and just falls flat on its face. They lost to the Houston Texans. So this is a team that I do not think is going to be doing much unless Derrick Henry comes back. I think they're a non-threat in the playoffs without Derrick Henry. So I know what Mike Vrabel is hoping to get for Christmas, and that is somebody telling him that Derrick Henry is going to be healthy in a week or two.
No, that's right, John. 6-2 with Derrick Henry before he hurt his foot. 3-3 since, and you sort of noted why they've been so terrible. It all comes down to turnovers. 1-3 the last 4 games. In those 3 losses, they've had at least 4 turnovers. So that means they've had more turnovers than that in some of those losses, and that's just unsustainable. John laid out why it is. You can have the best defense in the world. Titans don't have the best defense in the world, but be competitive and still lose football games because you don't have any semblance of the ability to hold onto the ball, which we heard Mike Vrabel say in that press conference. We don't hold the football in high regard, which is sort of funny. I feel like it should be on a T-shirt. So what does this mean? Is Derrick Henry coming back? It sounds like he's coming back, but maybe too little too late. And by the way, last week, Devonta Foreman did a great job running the football. I think he averaged more than 5 yards a carry. Steelers had no answers for him, but again, the turnovers were the issue. The other issue, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, they haven't been healthy enough to help Ryan Tannehill. The other issue, the offensive line. So Breech mentioned the Christmas list that Mike Vrabel's looking for that includes Derrick Henry. It could include a lot of things: a healthy wide receiver group, better offensive line play, more consistent defense, no turnovers. It's a long list, and I don't know if Vrabel's been naughty or nice in terms of whether he's going to get it or not on Saturday.
That's a team with a lot of issues, Ryan. The 49ers, as we look at the game, giving it 3.5 on the road with a total here of 44. Ryan, what's the play?
The funny thing is, Jim, you could ask me 2 weeks ago, it'd be different. 2 weeks prior to that, it would still be different. This season's been so up and down. This week, I'm going with the 49ers. We laid out why they've been playing so well lately. They're not making mistakes. I think they win the football game. I think they cover. I don't know if Ryan Tannehill is going to have much of a chance behind that offensive line and the lack of consistency in the running game, especially if his wide receivers aren't healthy. The defense actually played okay last week, and they may very well play okay against a run-heavy 49ers team. But I think San Francisco seems to be more in sync right now than what we've seen the Titans over the last month.
Hey, Wilson's been the top against the spread picker in the country for like 3 months now, so I can't disagree with him. That would just be dumb of me. But I do agree with him here. I do think the 49ers cover the 3.5 for a lot of the reasons he said. And also, you look at this Titans offense, which we have talked about. They've lost 3 of 4, and in those 3 losses, they've only scored exactly 13 points per game in all 3 losses. And the only team they beat was Jacksonville, which I don't even think counts as a win because that was during the Urban Meyer era. So it is tough to see this Titans team playing well. I know it's at home. Thursday night, Nashville is going to be jacked up. The stadium is going to be electric. So maybe the Titans get some of that adrenaline out early, jump to an early lead. But if they don't score early, it is going to be tough for them because this feels like a game where if the 49ers can just score 24 points, that's probably going to be enough to win and cover the spread based on what the Titans have done on offense over the past 4 weeks. So, yeah, I'm going to roll with the 49ers heading into Nashville and covering.
Judd, did Urban Meyer coach in the NFL? I don't recall that. Actually, let's get into the prop game. Top Titans prop is what, John?
That is Ryan Tannehill and the over on the rushing yards. The number is only 15.5. Ryan Tannehill's actually gone over this number in each of the Titans' past 3 games. It's a pretty low number for Tannehill, and it seems like he's realized that this offense isn't going to be able to do anything unless he starts using his legs. The first few games, Derrick Henry was out. Ryan Tannehill didn't have huge rushing numbers. Over the past 3 weeks, it's almost like he was thinking, we literally have no one else I don't have anyone to throw to. I don't have anyone to hand off to. I got to do it myself. And so he has taken off quite a few more times than he did during the middle of the season. So I do think he is going to go over the 15.5 in this game.
John, I love the player prop that you have there because my player prop is directly related to it. I'm going Ryan Tannehill under 213.5 passing yards. He's going to have to run for his life. We documented how he struggled last week because he was getting hit every other drop back. I don't think that's going to change against San Francisco, a team who is better defensively than the Steelers are, even though the Steelers have Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt to get after it. But I think what happens with Ryan Tannehill, with the injuries at wide receiver, with the lack of the offensive line play, it'll be one read, head down, and take off. In fact, 5 of the last 6 games, he's thrown for under that 213.5 number. I don't think that's going to change on Thursday night, a short week. I don't know what the weather's going to be like there. You can give me the weather update, Breech, but it feels like so many things going wrong for the Titans. This isn't the night that Ryan Tannehill's going to go up there and light up the scoreboard.
All right, so Tannehill a focus for both in different ways for a top Tennessee prop. How about a top prop from the Niners? And Ryan, lead us off.
I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings over 19.5 receiving yards. It's a low number. He wasn't a part of the offense early on in the season, but when Deebo Samuel moved to sort of pseudo running back, Brandon Ayuk was in and out of Kyle Shanahan's doghouse. We saw more from Juwan Jennings, and he's been making some big plays 2 or 3 times a game over the last month or so, and I think there'll be opportunities for him to get the football and make those big gains. He only needs 19.5 yards, so I feel pretty good about this. The number is minus 120, so clearly Vegas thinks it'll probably happen. But based on the way he's played in recent weeks, based on the targets that he's getting, as Deebo Samuel sort of goes back and forth between running back and wide receiver, it feels like a good bet over 19.5.
My prop, as we all know, if I am showing up to do a gambling segment, there's a 100% chance I'm going to have a kicking prop with me. And I have a kicking prop right here. It is Robbie Gould over 1.5 field goals. Let me just put this clear. If I have a team that is playing the Titans and the kicker is getting plus money on the over field goals, I am taking that kicker. The Titans have hit a pretty solid red zone defense this year, and because of that, the Titans' opponents have kicked a total of 28 field goals on the season, which is the 4th most in the NFL. Basically, the Titans force a lot of field goals. If you got a fantasy kicker going up against the Titans, that fantasy kicker has been scoring a lot of points this season. So that is one reason to like Robbie Gould. He's also gone over this total in 3 of his past 5 games. Also, I think Kyle Shanahan will be willing to take field goals on Thursday night because the Titans' offense is so bad, and he knows he is not going to need a lot of points to beat them.
That's John Breech, Ryan Wilson. Happy holidays to you both, gentlemen. Let's take another look at Ryan and John's picks for Thursday's matchup between the 49ers and Titans. Both guys are giving the points with San Francisco. John also says take the over. Top Titans player prop, Ryan likes Ryan Tannehill under his passing number, while John likes Tannehill over his rushing number. On the San Francisco side of things, Ryan says take Juwan Jennings over 19.5 receiving yards. John also says you can count on Robbie Gould making at least 2 field goals in this kickoff. And don't forget, for all things NFL, check out the Pick 6 podcast. Join Ryan Wilson, John Breech, along with Will Brinson, delivering you daily fix of NFL news and analysis. They get you up to speed so you're always in the know. It's the Pick 6 podcast. Download and subscribe today.